Thank you, Shannon, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Michelle Levy. I'm the Policy and Strategy Director for the Maryland Farmers Market Association. I first want to acknowledge, as Shannon mentioned, that the webinar is part of a series of trainings that the Maryland Farmers Market Association is offering for farmers and producers on how to increase sales through Maryland farmers markets, made possible by the support of the Rural Maryland Council. Just a little bit about the Maryland Farmers Market Association. Advanced slides. So before I turn this over to Ginger, just a quick overview of MDFMA for those who aren't familiar with our work. The Farmers Market Association is a statewide nonprofit launched in late 2012 to help create a vibrant network of farmers markets in Maryland. So our programs are geared towards those who manage, sell through, and shop at Maryland markets. Presumably means we have something for everyone participating in this webinar. Our core programs include Maryland Market Money, which is a matching program that increases the purchasing power of shoppers using federal nutrition benefits at market. Get Fed, which is a new food education program that will be launching this season. Stay tuned for more. Insurance for market managers and vendors, and technical assistance on all market-related matters. So if you have questions or would like more information about MDFMA or any of our programs, please feel free to contact me directly or go to marylandfma.org. So I'm really pleased this afternoon for us all to have the opportunity for us to learn from Ginger Myers. Ginger is a marketing specialist at University of Maryland Extension and one of the foremost ag marketing experts in our region. So without further ado, I want to thank you all again for joining, and I turn it over to Ginger.
Well, thank you, Michelle. As Michelle introduced me, I do work for the University of Maryland Extension. I'm sure I've seen some of you at other workshops. I work almost exclusively with small farm producers, value-added, direct marketers, new farmers, and currently been doing quite a bit with Food for Profit, which is a program that's bringing more food value products online. My husband and I also operate a grass-based livestock farm here in Westminster with beef, pork, lamb, chicken, and eggs, and we are farmer market vendors and have been for some time. So we understand some of the challenges and trends that have been coming along in farmers markets. So starting off with the purposes for a farmer's market, if I ask you, I'm sure what I'd hear is, oh, it's a great place for people to congregate, buy local foods, learn about production, make that connection back with their farmers. And while those are all true, when you really cut to the bottom of the chase here, farmers markets must provide consumers with a superior food retailing experience. It has got to be the place to be, the thing that draws them in, that has great service, great product, all those items that if we did a survey on what makes a great buying experience, everybody could list those things for farmers markets. Because as Natty Matarzero says in New Jersey, you don't make money from high-quality tomatoes or high-quality veggies or high-quality cheese. You make money from satisfied customers, because satisfied customers are repeat customers, customers who will pass along word-of-mouth advertising for you, who will come back year after year. So while, yes, the purpose certainly is to help you sell your product and connect consumers to local foods, we have to have this great experience, and that really has to be lifted up. It is about the buyer here. So markets require several things. Marketing requires time, time to load, to go, to unload, to plan. You know, how have you looked at the time it takes to get all the tent, the tables, all these good things together and get to your market? The tools, more than just the tent and the tables, but skill sets of selling, signage. Do you have your paperwork in order? Are you able to take EBT transmissions or WIC or whatever kind of additional purchasing power is provided at your market? Are you knowledgeable about the products you offer? It seems that you should be. You should certainly be able to know the difference of varieties and the use, but remember, if you have someone else working in your booth as well, they need to be knowledgeable. And if you haven't eaten your products, how can you tell people how they taste or how to use them or how to cook them? And then this dedication to implementing your marketing strategies. That could be, you know, what do you plan to take each week? Is there a special? Is there a holiday? I mean, are you going to pack up red, white, and blue potatoes in that carton when you're selling for Memorial Day or the 4th of July? Marketing is a verb. You have to do it. Before I go on, though, now that I've told you, what it requires, I want to step back to this very first slide about purposes again. Because what we talked about in the second slide was all the things you have to do sales. What about the purpose, again, of having this great retailing experience? I want to talk about farmers markets versus supermarkets here for a real quick minute before we move on. Supermarkets, the first supermarkets in this country appeared in 1946. So, okay, where did food come from before the supermarkets? Well, consumers were used to market gardens. They were used to buying from their neighbors, to buying at the farm stand along their way home, to growing their own food. When we went to supermarkets started to be all about offering self-service of a large variety of foods and household products arranged in aisles that you could go in anytime, fill your cart, and go home. It was all under one roof, one stop. It was convenience. And that's still a lot of the marketing appeal of supermarkets, or that's when you look at the Walmart that has a super center, they virtually put everything under one roof, banking on convenience. A one-stop shop is what customers want. Remember, farmers markets, though, are not convenient. They're usually not open every day of the week. They're only open certain times, certain locations, certain times of the year. So if they're not convenient, if they're not having as much variety as a one-stop shop, we really do have to weigh in on the superior food retailing experience. And another example of that, the convenience, I just kind of want to make sure that you kind of think about this, how convenient supermarkets have made shopping. This is an example of the use of the train tunnels in Chicago, where Giant Foods, Peapod's a subsidiary of them, they've painted the side walls of the train tunnels to look like supermarket shelves with QR codes on them. You can actually walk down the corridor, you can click on the QR code and put it in a cart and have your grocery list done by the time you get out to your car, send it to the store, and have pickup waiting for you when you get there. Now that's really convenience, and you got to think about, how am I going to get the consumer that I'm trying to touch to get up early on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning, or stop on their way home after a busy day to buy my tomatoes or my fruit? How are we going to do this when food buying in this country really hinges on convenience and low cost? We have to look at how can you be a supermarket vendor rather than the supermarket. Okay, how we do that is supermarket vendors maximize their interaction with customers. Again, if you think about the supermarket experience, you take the cart, you walk around, you fill, you might ask somebody stocking shelves where something is, but probably if you ask them the difference between the tomatoes that they have on the shelves, they can't tell you. Supermarket vendors maximize that interaction with customers. They engage with them You can share your farm story often during the week. It's been so much rain. I've heard a lot of markets, the stories where folks are thinking the rain's really great for your crops, right? Well, we've got to tell them that, yeah, it's great when I'm growing lettuce, but if I'm trying to make hay for my cows, that's a problem. And engage them and tell them the story and the production. Supermarkets don't have that opportunity at all. They don't have certainly to answer questions. Maybe perhaps you're carrying a variety that people don't recognize. We sell meat, and I often get a lot of questions of, should I put this cut in my crock pot or can I grill it? Again, the ability to become the authority on your product with these customers starts to build that relationship, and you get to offer suggestions, anything from how to cook it to how to pair it with something else that you may have. We see this often when we mix perhaps all the ingredients for a salsa mix. They may have assumed they were going to buy peppers, onions separate. If you package them together, it's the opportunity to link in on that convenience factor there, where you're making it easier for them all the time. And of course, to listen to feedback. And sometimes it's good feedback. You get some real good tips. The other side of that is sometimes the feedback is not what you really wanted to hear, but you need to understand where your customers are coming from. Because again, the goal is to have a superior retail food buying experience. In my preparations for this presentation, a shopper who shops at DuPont Circle saw that this was advertised, and she's a customer. She wasn't going to attend this, but she had encouraged me to tell producers that she doesn't like bag salad. She would like you to bring it in a big tub, don't wash it because she still wants the dirt on it, and she wants to bag it up herself. Now, we all know that kind of feedback. I couldn't really talk to her about food safety much, or why we do it the way we do it, that it's already washed or it's already bagged, or no, I can't bring you the Brussels sprout stem with the mud all over it. Natural as that may be, we can't do it. So rather than tell them that they don't understand that, let them know why sometimes we have to do the things that we do. So it's good feedback, again, from the standpoint of establishing you as the authority on something. You certainly have a terrific advantage in a timely harvest, that you're going to have much better quality products there, and the ability to talk about how you did that, and how it's all about the food. So I will say one thing that I didn't put on this list, and I'm hesitant to, but I've been to markets where when it's a little slow, or even when it's busy, folks are checking their cell phone. They've got the paper rolled up on the tailgate because they've been reading, maybe have a book along, or certainly the iPad. Put them down. Put them down and engage your customers, because again, this interaction is what they're looking for. You don't have to be real forward with them, but eye contact, a smile, be somewhat inviting. But if they see that you're more distracted by your gizmos than giving them good customer service, it doesn't go with that great retailing experience. Certainly, supermarket vendors offer consistently great quality products. I really like these two photos here. I'm not trying to put down the grocery store, but when you look in the cart and how things have to be packaged and how they appeal to the eye, it's certainly isn't as appealing as that top picture with all those colors and consistency and eye candy that we're looking at there. One thing you cannot do is bring anything but your best quality to the market. I know that some folks put their best quality in their CSA and then bring the rest to market. You're kind of doing a trade-off there. You really need to find an outlet for those seconds or less superior quality. The other thing that I find is sometimes folks, if they have a space of 2 days between a market and they didn't sell out, they're bringing things back the next market time. Glean it or donate it to someone, but you know the clock's running the minute you pick the pepper or cut the lettuce or dig the carrots. The quality deteriorates as it goes, and while visually it may still look like it's okay, they're not going to have the best eating experience, and you'll know that as well. So you really only get one chance, you know, to make a great first impression. If you tell folks that a few of the pepper shoulders were soft on down the pile, they're going to remember that. In the grocery stores or in the supermarkets, there's a reason that they've got those thunder shower mists coming over the produce. They're trying to maintain their quality and their appearance, and they're doing it with some of those techniques, and they are keeping some things fresher. But you certainly have the ability and the advantage of consistently bringing your best products to the market. So basically, we've been talking about the experience for the buyer or your consumer, and that's really got to be in the forefront. If you basically are coming to market because you're just going to make sales, you're going to make some sales, but you're eroding your customer base for what it might be if you were really engaged from the standpoint of, am I helping them with a want or need, or introducing them to a superior product for their home and their table. But now we're going to take a look at supermarkets. Vendors honor the rules, and I put that there because after years of experience we still know that sometimes these things get to be in conflict. But when you look at the great markets that we have here in Maryland, or you look at markets across the country, you find that those great markets are based on a set of viable market rules, and they apply to everyone in the market. And as vendors and as a market community, we need to honor that, including who may sell at the market. Let's define that. Little things happen sometimes where can two people sell in a booth? Can you sell for someone else? Have a good, clean set of market rules as what to applies to who can sell and what products may be sold. Is it a consumer, producer-only market? Is it seasonal only? Is it a hybrid of local products with maybe some artisans involved? The hours and days of operation need to be really clear and established. There are a lot of markets these days, and if we're going to build customer base, we need to make sure that our customers understand when you're open. Because again, we're not the supermarket that's open 24/7. You know, the clear assignment of spaces and market promotion. These 5 attributes are for every vendor. It's part of you being part of the team and fulfilling this. I'm sure that you've all seen folks that just show up 15 minutes before the market, set up, sell, tear down, and go home. They don't participate in promotions. They're basically there for their bucks. And again, while that works, it does not establish a strong market presence, appeal, and longevity. So I'm seeing some questions pop up here. Let me just finish here real quick. These rules, there's lots of examples out there, and this is an opportunity for you to work with the Maryland Farmers Market Association to look at what are a superior set of rules that, while we want them to be set enough to run a good market, can they be flexible enough, or how are they established to work with your market best? Because sometimes different locations, different days, different core customers will make some of this a little different. So I'm going to stop real quick and read this question here. If everyone can in the chat. From the farmer, then hired workers. Can build sense of pride in their product. Okay. One of the things, Lindsay, that we require here at Evermore, our farm, is that the folks who are going to the farmers markets for us either have to have worked some on the farm, and it would be paid, I would pay them to come in and actually feed and help for a little bit on the farm, maybe 3 or 4 times, till they get a feel for what is it we actually do. Or if they've been customers in the past, or I actually work with them for about 3 markets till they hear what I say to customers, and I also have their names listed on the worksheets, and I do some surveying with my customer base to ask, how was your market experience this week? And if the service was down in that little short survey, and I often do this on Facebook, I know where that worker was. I know it's not always possible, but I will do a pop-in at a market sometimes if I have someone else there. The other side of that is if we're going to hire some help in our markets, and we have to do that to get them all done, we also have to make sure that the remuneration that we're paying folks is enough to keep them engaged and involved. But I sometimes just like to ask folks that I'm working with the questions I think the customers are going to ask them. The other thing that we are really big on for us is we give everybody T-shirts. Then I don't have to worry about the Bud Light beer shirts being on in my booth. We actually give folks an Evermore Farm T-shirt. It's good promotion even if they're not using it at the market, but it's one more reason to walk the walk and talk the talk of being part of this farm. So I hope that answered your questions. If there's follow-up, please just put them in the chat and we'll get back to them. Supermarket vendors sell to the census. This is where you really have an advantage when you get people to your market. Back on that, what do markets do? Market promotion. It won't work just to throw up the tents and hope they come. So back to that previous slide, there's got to be a market promotion plan, and you need to be part of it. Usually a market master or somebody in the community is running that promotion. You can help by feeding them each week a list of what you're bringing, or perhaps a unique variety of something to help them tell their story. And often it's tied to how do people buy with their senses. Well, we eat with our mouths, but we shop with our eyes. And that's anything from food to the color of shoes you're going to buy. And we talk about it as being eye candy. Again, this picture of this tomato with this blush on, it's just farm tomatoes at a stand. For those who have been to the city markets, I think you'll relate to this. The number of photography students that will come through a market and ask to take pictures of product because it just is so engaging. The picture of the little girl here on the right is actually the evolution of the use of eye candy with Smucker's Jams and Jellies. When I first visited some of their websites probably 10 years ago, their opening screen would have a picture of a slice of white bread with a glistening layer of strawberry jam on it. It looked like you could just reach into the screen and take a bite. It was so appealing. Well, trends change, and now perhaps jams and jellies and their sugar content isn't what they wanted to promote anymore. So they changed a lot of their product pictures online to, the fresh fruit, the healthy attraction. They're still selling the same jams and jellies, but the promotional pictures are different. If you go to the Smucker's Jam sites now, today, you will see they've merged and have a lot of other products they work with, Jif, Crisco, some of the pet foods. They're actually showing the product itself because they're pushing online ordering. So they are still showing product, but they're showing it as a finished product on the shelf because they're using their website differently. You have the advantage at Market of being able to show actual product, but also because we all carry so many cameras in our phones these days, to be able to take some wonderful field pictures of the dew, on product before you perhaps picked it, or the glistening greens in a line. I've seen a lot of pictures lately of folks with with their raised bed plastic and all the greens and the lushness that's growing at farms. It's the ability to create that eye candy that helps make that connection with customers. And then, of course, supermarket vendors display it. How you put it out there. We know that you need to get product up about hip height and closer to the eye. So we're looking at layers or tiers or getting things in a sense of abundance. We could do a whole presentation on vendor display layout. And again, if you get to some of the conferences and workshops and you think, well, how many different ways can you display? Why do I go there? Go. You will never, anything is as simple as creating the tables into a U so people actually walk into the booth. Ideas for layering, we're seeing a lot of the old apple crates used, tablecloths, and a source of some of this display material doesn't have to be pricey. If you ever go to Goodwill and pick up some cheap baskets that have a variety of color and differences of height. You know, supermarkets use this on their aisles. They put the most, I'm sure you're aware that the most popular items are about chest height on the shelves, where more of the generic brands are down lower. You've got to look down to find them. And some of the pricier things are up a little higher, out of the reach of children. But there's certainly a design even to grocery store shelves. And we could talk a lot here about color, using color to complement. The picture here in the center, the red, white, and blue checker look that goes with baked goods, I'm right away making the connection to All-American apple pie. I don't know if there's an apple pie there, but I do see those combination of colors, and it's great. And if we're going to do veggies, you know, blues, greens, stay away from the yellows. They get washed out. As a meat producer, I know that I should never have on my table a red tablecloth. There is no way I can lay up a steak and lay it on a red tablecloth and not have it look brown. So think about the color wheel and how it complements that. And if you're not real knowledgeable about that, there's lots of resources online about color wheels and complementary colors and those sorts of things. I would also hesitate. I've been around and seen a lot of tablecloths that sometimes get busy with a pattern in the background, and it ends up just kind of blurring the vision. Remember that your tablecloth displays, any kind of umbrella or tent, you're trying to get a harmonious look and you know, not just the most splash of mix of colors among them. So of course we're looking for this visual interest, these contrasting colors. Now, the picture here on the left is from a farmer's market that allows folks to bring in some out-of-season products. So that's why the carrots are in bags. But you will see that those long red peppers are not beside those carrots. We're doing greens, reds, yellows. It's really confusing if you ever go to a market and the green cucumbers are beside the green zucchini that are beside the green beans. There's not enough definition, so use the color to advantage. The picture here on the right, while it's just a table with display, they went with trying to keep the same type of product together. I think that they feel that's easier probably for the vendor who's selling us to know where things are than the appeal of what it looks like out to the customer. I don't have any problem with using a pretty simple table design, but there was a way that they could have mixed this up a little bit better on the greens. Also, if you look behind this table, the stacks of crates and cartons sometimes can look a little nasty at a market. The tablecloth often helps hide whatever you've got under the table. So I know that you're bringing boxes and crates and cartons, and where do you go with all that? You've got to have a nice, neat look to your booth. Again, we're selling food. People want it to be clean in appearance. They want it to be fresh and wholesome looking. Set up your booth, go out in front of it and take a look. So often we're busy getting set up in the day and we put things out and the market starts, and seldom do we get out and really take a look at what the front of our booth looks like. So we need to do that, and you may need to move some things around. But certainly be hesitant to get anything down on the ground or down on the asphalt, thinking, oh, I'm just going to layer and use extra space. It's not good to get anything down under the tables. Certainly at market, people want to see a sense of abundance, and for those who get started in some small markets, this is where you're going to have to kind of get over the idea that there's not, quote unquote, much at your market. People want choice, so they want to see an abundance. Back to, planning and the time that you're going to have to take things. You want to make sure that you have a good variety all the way through market. If you are down to the last few items on your table and there's still 45 minutes to go in your market, you did not bring enough product, and also probably you're not going to sell what's left. No one really wants to sell those last few things. And I would say some folks will say, well, I'll just mark them down and I'll sell them and go home. When you do that, you are training your customers to wait until they could take advantage of the market down. So I seldom do that. I would rather consolidate those items and have them spread out all over a table so there is that look of abundance. The other thing about how much you take to the market is for you to really get a handle on how much do you think you're going to bring home. From the standpoint of dollars. I worked with a cut flower grower once who was really discouraged because she wasn't selling more than $300 of flowers at a market. But when I asked her how many bouquets she took at what price, well, she only took about $320 worth of bouquets. So there was no way she was going to sell more, but she didn't really realize that from the standpoint. She was busy, when cutting, bouqueting, bunching, and getting in buckets. Really, part of your planning every week needs to be, how much do I anticipate selling, matching to what you're producing. And that's hard. That takes some experience. It also, I'm looking at these baskets here in the left. We all know that Mother's Day, that peaks, and if you're taking those baskets now, because you still have them, they're going to be slower sellers because we're also trying to match our abundance to the trend. I think I've seen in the last 2 weeks tomatoes coming on the market, and that's where it's moving to. But we're seeing enough tomatoes coming in that we're training folks to start looking for the season tomatoes. They're the early ones at this point, but they're actually kind of setting up those pre-sales for everyone who's got field tomatoes. But they're going to have to come on pretty soon here to catch up with the high tunnel. Back to selling to all the senses. You have an advantage again over the supermarket in that you can actually create a sense of smell. Again, people buy with their eyes, but we know that a sense of smell can really activate that little hunger brain center. And again, we market meat, and we don't serve samples at the market. Evermore doesn't because of sampling license and so forth. But it doesn't mean that we didn't cook something at the market. We usually could cook up some morning bacon, and the people working the booth will have a bacon sandwich, and the vendors next to us will. But the smell, I can draw in people with the smell. How do you do that with your products? Perhaps it's herbs. Perhaps it's the flowers that are there. I know one of the first times I ever was engaged with the smell of Sweet Annie, I didn't even know what that was. A flower grower said, "Here, you have to smell this bouquet." And I was headed towards something else into it with my nose, and she said, "No, this product right here." So she helped me learn about that and the fragrance and how that works in in wreaths and so forth, and made me a believer. The one thing you can do, and you don't even have to do this up on the table, is you can cut or crush something and set it in behind just so the smell keeps coming out. Basil is a wonderful thing to do that with. Run your hand over it and get that scent going. Garlic, onions, where you can cut it and get the odor going. It alerts another sense besides sight with folks, that they make the connection with, here is something so fresh, here's a fragrance I recognize, perhaps I need some of that to take home. And of course, sampling, if it's permitted, and this is sampling regulations vary a lot by counties. You can check with your local health department. Some have to charge for some sampling. If it's permitted, some by right, maybe at a special festival, but just don't assume you're going to go there and offer samples of your peaches cut. It's gone are the days when that used to happen, and it's now regulated. So back to that, putting in the time in the market is the kind of thing you should check before market starts, but check with your market master, check with the health department if there is opportunity, if you have a product that's great to sample. I think I talked about peaches. I think that's a wonderful stand. You know, when you have a fruit where you watch a customer bite into a piece of it and the juice runs down their chin, what a wonderful food buying experience for them if you can do it. If not, pictures, recipes, discussions about the type. For instance, some peaches come off the seed easier than others. What are the difference in colored plums? You know, we've really gotten away from the characteristics of a lot of our foods we buy by sight, but using these senses of sight and smell and taste that you can do at a market really sets you apart from any other food buying experience that they can have, and that's really one of our big goals. The New Mexico Farmers Market Association has a wonderful set of vendor tips online. I really like New Mexico's website for their farmers market. They do practically a year-round market. They're closed a little bit during the snow season, but they have great tips from their marketing association. Love this picture of this guy, this Buck and Bee. I don't know where he got that shirt, but it certainly speaks to what he does. You know, and again, when you go to market, if you're a supermarket vendor, you're advertising your farm by the way you talk, by the way you dress. Do you have business cards to hand out? Do you have a brochure of how do they find you other than at the market? Again, we have many year-round markets, but a lot of our markets close during the end of the season. And how do you keep in touch with these folks? Do you collect email addresses so that you have a way to perhaps send them an announcement when market opens, or during a holiday market, perhaps you still have sweet potatoes or other items that go to the Thanksgiving table. You need to be able to keep in touch with these folks, and so collecting email addresses, giving them brochures, having a way to sign up for your newsletter, again, makes you a supermarket vendor because you're making it more convenient for them to stay in touch with their local food. Some other resources, some of these are a little dated, but they're still oldies but goodies. The New Market Fresh Ideas for Producers was one of the original publications that looked at how do we engage with producers. The internet has made it very easy for you to get a lot more information about vendor displays, recipes, how to talk to folks. And if you're not the person who's good doing that, perhaps somebody else working your booth could be. I have found that certainly sometimes women are better working our booth because they cook, but yet some of the guys are better with grill recipes and so forth. Look at the strengths of who's selling your product, and if they need some support, help them out with a brochure. And in my case, we often have photos of cuts and where they come from the animal, because folks are might not know what a sirloin tip roast versus a beef tenderloin roast is. So help them with these kinds of excuse me, resources, and help yourself as well. Growing for Market is a great publication. It's a bi-monthly publication. It's been around about 25 years, but it's written by and for market gardeners, and usually covers anything from not just production, but marketing ideas, social media, website design, and there's usually a section for cut flower growers as well. And it's not real expensive. You can get it online. But these two resources help you start building your library on vending at farmers markets. Okay, and then there's an updated link. I tried the link the other day. It's published there. It will get you to their homepage. The link listed in my presentation, and then you can browse around. It's kind of neat to see all the things they offer on that website. But thank you for listing that new site. And then, so my question is, what are you a supermarket vendor just showing up, getting the product sold and out the door? Are you a supermarket vendor who's building product and customer base for your farm, for your market, but for the whole local food movement? Because as we all do better at farmers markets, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. We need to do a good job with this, to reconnect with folks, and not just the production of their food, but the mission of local food production, of connection with the community, of the ability to have an effect on areas that may be food deserts or need some new nutrition, the ability to work with restaurants. I think chefs will tell you that they started finding farmers by walking the farmers markets or being engaged with local producers. So these are all areas and attributes that we can work together to improve our Maryland farmers markets, and also to improve the profitability of the producers here. With that, I'll take any questions, other questions that might be out there, or other comments. Some of you probably have some things you could share from your own experiences.